A very good morning to one and all. This is Ranjana and I welcome you to this video lecture of Elective English for class 12. Today I will be discussing about Kaleidoscope lesson 3, A Wedding in Brownsville. In this module I will be discussing about the author, the explanation of the story and the analysis of the story. The Wedding in Brownsville is written by Isaac Bashevis Singer. He was born in Poland. He was also awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1978. His publications include A Friend of Kafka, A Seance and the Other Story. So this story is actually about a person's life, how a person achieves everything in his life but still feels lonely. He could not fulfill his loneliness, his emptiness, though he was a successful person throughout his life. Basically, the story is about Dr. Solomon Margolin and his wife Gretel. So they were living in New York now, and the chapter opens with this first line. The wedding had been a burden to Dr. Solomon Margolin from the very beginning. Dr. Solomon Margolin was a Jew who lived in Poland, but now he is living in New York City. Jews were exterminated when Nazis invaded Poland. They were killed and hunted down by the Nazis. They were also sent out to the concentration camps. So many Jewish people got escaped from Poland and they were forced to take shelter to the other parts of the world. And Dr. Solomon Margolin and his wife moved to New York City. Dr. Solomon Margolin lives with his wife in the New York City. Dr. Solomon's family were also killed by the Nazis. They were sent out to the concentration camp and are forced to dig their own graves. They were shooted out and they were also killed by the Nazis. Gretel, his wife, was a modest person. She was a German but were anti-Nazi. Nazis also killed Gretel's brother. Gretel's brother was brutally killed by the Nazis because they were anti-Nazis. Gretel's father was bedridden, so she used to send money to her father also. Dr. Margolin was a Sensi minor. A Sensi minor was a Jewish community who used to live in New York. Gretel was a lady of honor. She has not kept maid in her house and do everything on her own. She used to go out to market to purchase groceries and other things and carry out ounces of bags with her. She come back home with or like an elderly lady. Dr. Solomon Margolin was also a modest fellow. Dr. Solomon Margolin treated rabbis, refugees and Jewish writers without charge, supplying them with medicine and if necessary a hospital bed. He was also a modest fellow. He got invitation from his friend Abraham McGillis to her daughter's wedding, Sylvia, but he was not willing to go there because he has distanced himself from Jewish people, because Jewish were changed peoples. They have changed their culture, their tradition, they have nearly Americanized. He did not want to go there in the marriage because he was afraid to get confronted to the society. But because Michaelis was his friend, he cannot avoid the wedding. He wore a tuxedo and went out for the wedding. He took a taxi. On his way, he was continuously thinking about the changed Jewish people, how Jewish people have changed their culture, how Jewish community have settled in a very diversified manner in America. Suddenly, his car got stopped and he witnessed an accident nearby. He saw a person in stretcher and that person was looking familiar to him. Then his taxi moved ahead. He saw that person and thought that that person might be going to the same wedding that he was going. On his way, he was also thinking about his first love, Razel, who got married to someone else and was later killed by the Nazis. He reached the wedding hall. He then suddenly saw a very different tradition there. After a while, he reached at the wedding hall and everything was lit up there. There were lots of Sensi miners. He put on a skull cap and entered the hall. It was filled with people and music, with table heaped with food and a bar stacked with the bottles. Men were dancing with men, women with women, men with women. The hall resounded with stamping, screaming, laughing, clapping. Dr. Margolin knew everybody and yet knew nobody there. One of the Stancy miners recognized him and asked about his whereabouts. He kept on telling the brutality that Jew community had been faced in Poland. Every Sensi minor in the party was only talking about the brutality they have faced by the Nazis. Some were burnt alive, some were killed brutally. Margolin felt suffocated among the people there. Suddenly, in the middle of the crowd, he saw a familiar face. A girl he knew already. He knew her. He recollected his memory and recognized, and he stood baffled. She looked neither young nor old. He got surprised because that girl was his old love Razel, the daughter of watchmaker whom he loved years ago. He told her that someone told him that she has married to someone else and has been killed by the Nazis. He took her to some secluded place near the wedding canopy and told her that this was the happiest day of his life. He pointed out to the wedding canopy and said that they could have stood there. He asked her about everything, like where she had been yet and what she was doing, is she alone or attached, but she doesn't reply him back. He wanted to take her in his arms and kiss her. He stood beside her and ashamed that he had married someone else and he had not personally confirmed the reports of Razel's death. The thought came to him that by Jewish law he was not married, for he and Gretel had only a civil ceremony. He told Razel that according to Jewish law he was a single man. He told her that no one can get married with a penny. Then suddenly he put his hand to his pocket and he realized that his wallet was not there. He thought that he was in the taxi then and how his wallet got lost. Suddenly it occurred to him that this could not be his Razel. The girl standing there was too young. He stood bewildered. He told himself that the whole thing is a mistake. Suddenly he remembered the traffic collision he had witnessed on Eastern Parkway. He realized that he might be the victim of that road accident. That man on the stretcher looked strangely familiar to him. Dr. Margolin examined himself as though he were one of his own patients. He could find no trace of pulse or breathing. He felt that his physical dimensions are missing. He told himself that he could died in that accident without knowing it. And what will Gretel do now without him? He told Razel that she has been killed by the Nazis and she received the shock of bad news. She didn't realize her own condition. Dr. Margolin was actually hovering in the world of twilight, his astral body wandering in the semi-consciousness detached from the flesh without being able to reach its destination. It was clinging to the illusion and vanities with the past. This is the conjunction which he actually finds there. He might have been killed in that accident, and all his thing is the illusion or hallucination of him. His soul might be wandering there in the party looking for Razel, his incomplete love of the life which he could not achieve. There is one more aspect of this story. The soul of Razel might be wandering in the world without realizing that she is shot dead by the Nazis. Her soul was perhaps roaming around in the parallel world. She was ready to accept, or she wasn't ready to accept, that she had been killed. Or it might be the realization of Dr. Margolin that he has been married to Gretel and could not get his love Razel now. So the story is basically open-ended. We can draw many conclusions that it might be the soul of Margolin wandering in the party to get the love of his life, Razel, or it might be Razel's soul wandering to meet her love. Margolin again asked her where had she been, but she didn't answer, and the hall was full with people, and the music played softly, and Abraham Michaelis led his daughter down the aisle. So this was the explanation of this story and the analysis of this story. So that's all the story. And till then, keep reading, keep listening.